Consumer sentiment is down and interest rates are up. We're going to talk about those two things along with a bunch of other stuff coming up in this month's market update. Hey friends, Ryan Reynolds here with Keller Williams Consultants Realty with your November 2025 Greater Columbus Real Estate Market Update. So what's going on here in November of 2025? Well, as I'm filming this, the government shutdown is just about to end, or maybe has actually ended. I'm not sure. I haven't checked the news in a little bit, but it was imminently going to end. And so the data we're going to talk about today is basically data from when that shutdown was going on. And so one of the things we're going to talk about is consumer sentiment. Now, consumer sentiment measures how people feel about how things are going. And right now, as of this month, we're at 53.6 on our scale of 100. And that is actually the lowest consumer sentiment we've had since June 2022. Now, in addition to that, when we speak about real estate specifically, the question that people are asked is now a good time to buy? And when people answered that question, they came back with 16% saying that it's a good time to buy right now. And that is the lowest that number has been since 1966 when it hit 12%. So why are people feeling that way about real estate and the economy in general? Well, there's a bunch of factors. I think one of the biggest of factors is probably housing affordability. When we look at where interest rates are and what the average cost of a house is right now, affordability is not very good. In fact, it takes about 35% of most people's incomes to actually afford to buy a house. Now, that's one of the highest levels it's been in a long time, primarily because interest rates are high. Now, with the government shutdown, I'm sure that had some influence on those numbers. And also, I think that the fact that or unemployment, I should say, is rising. So it's right about 4.3%, which actually is a historically really low number. So it's not a bad number. It's just that it's starting to come up from the bottom of 4.1, I think, is where it was. So I think those are the things that are affecting consumer sentiment. And I think that's why people aren't feeling very good. Now, with the government opening back up, and possibility of another interest rate cut coming, I don't know that this will last very long. This might be sort of an inflection point where we're going to look back and say that was actually maybe the best time to buy. Because when is the best time to buy? It's probably when everybody else thinks it's a bad time to buy. Because when is the best time to buy? It's probably when everybody else thinks it's a bad time to buy. And right now might be that time. So if you're a buyer, stick around because we're going to talk about some other factors that might influence your decision to buy a house. And we're going to start that with inventory. So as of today, the inventory level of single-family homes on the real estate market here in Greater Columbus was 4,612 homes. That is up 23.6% compared to last year at this time. Now, if you're a buyer, that's great news. There's still only about 1.9 months of inventory, which technically is a seller's market. But what I've experienced in the market recently is that it's acting like a buyer's market. Buyers are able to choose from multiple homes. They're able to make offers and negotiate a little bit. They're able to get inspections and actually have the seller fix some things through remedies. And so from a feeling standpoint, this kind of feels to me like a buyer's market. And maybe it's just because we came out of one of the most intense sellers markets we've ever had, but that's what it feels like. A couple other quick stats. Days on market right now are sitting at 33 days, and that is only up a few days compared to last year, which was 26 days. But the interesting number, I think, is the pending homes are up 27.5% compared to last year at this time. So it's really interesting to me that when asked if today is a good time to buy, only 16% said yes, and yet we're up 27.5% of people today who are making decisions to buy homes. So I don't think this is going to last very long, frankly. And so if you're a buyer, I think I would probably jump into that. So the next thing we're going to talk about are interest rates. And today, interest rates are sitting at 6.34% on average for the 30-year fixed mortgage. Now, if you look at this chart, you can tell there's not been a whole lot going on real recently. In fact, in the last month, they've actually come up about 0.03%. And it's not too exciting because even though they lowered interest rates, every time they've lowered them the last two times, you can see in this chart, there's a little, like a check mark almost, where they go straight up right after they do that. The other thing in this chart that's interesting to look at and to note is that as of about 6 months ago, we were over 7%. And so in the last 6 months, rates have actually come down over 0.75%. And so if that trend continues, we probably will be looking at rates sub 6% in the spring of 2026. So that's what interest rates are doing. And them not coming down as fast as people might have expected when the Federal Reserve lowered interest rates might be another factor why they're kind of feeling a little wonky about how it might not be that great of a time to buy a house and that they think a better time may be coming. So just a thought on that. I'm not sure that actually is it. Now, the last thing we're going to talk about are home sales prices. And this is where most people are wondering, is my house going up in value or is it going down in value? And buyers specifically are wondering, should I wait to buy a house because the values might come down? The answer for the buyer is no, absolutely do not wait, because prices are actually still going up even here at what is about the slowest time of the year. In fact, the median sales price in Greater Columbus went up from $320,000 last year to $340,000, and that represents about a 2.7% increase year over year. So the main message to take from that is that for buyers, interest rates are going to come down most likely next year, but prices are probably going to go up pretty quickly once those interest rates start coming down. So you might want to think about buying now before that happens. For sellers, the answer or the news is good. Your house is worth more than it was last year. And even though they slowed down to around 1.8, I think it was, percent last month, this month they're accelerating back up. And I expect that values will continue to rise here in the Greater Columbus market, mostly because of our macroeconomic indicators like the diversity in our economy, like the number of people moving here for jobs, and all of the things that are happening that are positive in the Greater Columbus real estate market. So that's all I have for you today. Again, my name is Ryan Reynolds with Keller Williams Consultants Realty. As always, it's the Ryan Reynolds team guiding you to the home that fits your life.